I'm so excited to welcome this episode's guest, JingJing Li. JingJing serves as a spiritual guide and healer dedicated to supporting pioneering souls and conscious leaders on their transformative journey. Her approach is deeply grounded, emphasizing practical steps for self-healing and overcoming self-limiting beliefs. With a focus on inner mastery, her mission is to help individuals embody a state of heaven on earth and become radiant examples of joyful living and flourishing. I'm thrilled to welcome to Some Kind of Mystic, JingJing Li. So welcome, JingJing, to the Some Kind of Mystic podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
I am so happy to be here. As you know, I look forward to this. I'm so excited we're doing this.
Me too. It's really, really exciting. And so we got to know each other through the miracle of the internet. You stumbled
Yes.
upon my work with Vagrein, and we've had this resonance ever since. And I've been so curious to have this conversation with you because you're clearly in a completely different part of the world than I am. And there's a completely different situation and culture where you are. Can you tell everyone where you are and where you're located, where you're from?
Yes, I live in Shanghai and I am 100% Chinese and yeah, I'm born and raised in China, only that I do speak some English. So, yeah, I know probably I'm very different. Oh, I mean, culturally, I'm very different from a lot of your audience because uh quite obvious, right?
Well, yeah, the majority of my audience, even though I'm in Europe, is North American. So there's different culture, but it's fascinating because you're like me, you're a life coach and a spiritual person and so excited about so many of the same topics of me. And sometimes when we think about other cultures, we're like, oh, okay, that must be so different on so many levels, but there's so
Mhm.
much we also have in deep common,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the work you're doing with your clients there is very similar to what I do with my clients here. So
yeah.
I really wanted to dive into your journey, your story, where you've come from as a human being, where you've developed in as a spiritual being. And let's start for now
Yes.
at the beginning. Okay, so you're born in China and you're having a regular human life, or were you spiritual from day one?
I Wonderful question. I was never asked this question because I think my work, even though it's very spiritual based, I think I would say like in essence, my work's very like spirit centered coaching on guidance. My dog.
I love that your dog is doing cameos. That's great.
But I think most of the time people, especially in China, if I do meet people, even when I do talk with, let's say Westerners, I think it's just people don't seem to ask this type of like deep questions. So of course you're asking the deep questions. So no, but I do think I will start by saying, because this is something so important for me. My dog is getting excited. So excited. So important for me that when I was very little, I was guided to discover something so key, so important to the key message or teaching I do so passionately teach the world now, which is the joy from inside, which is whatever that channel is. For me, it was learning. It was so almost funny too, because think about it. I don't know about like I don't know how relatable it is to Westerners, but in China, like the tiger mom and all that, like parents all want their kids to study, and I was born to learn to study. So I was not very like spiritual, kind of like weird in that way, but I definitely remember that was a key thing that I could feel this indescribable joy when I learned something. Even just like a simple 1 plus 1 like kind of equation. It was just so like incredibly joyful for me. Anyway, and that was a big thing for me. And then of course later on, as you are aware as well, like when I was around six, I was put away from my parents because of life situations. So and that was like more almost my lifesaver, because I was able to tap into the joy of learning to give me that life source of like sustaining me to grow I never describe it that way, but I think today I would say it that way. And then of course, basically I'm giving you my main life track, which is joy. And then the second one's the pain of being left or seemingly abandoned by my parents, which is like the biggest emotional pain, which later on actually obviously was a great setup for me to discover spirituality, healing, and which is like the most in-depth work that I do today. So yes, to answer your question, I wasn't like particularly spiritual, but I do think being away from my parents, they give me a lot of opportunity to go within, because like I wasn't, almost like I wasn't a child anymore. I just
Right.
had to go inside and to seek, even if it's like a pain of loneliness and etc. And I think we all know, especially your audience, I think in those times our angels and our guides are really the closest. They really want us to know like we're supported, etc. So I think I definitely felt that, but I wouldn't, I don't think I didn't know that. I realized that until later on I will use the language to say it. Yes.
Okay. So that's
Oh man.
amazing. So learning has really been your lifeline, your ability
Yeah.
to continue your journey and learning and having that to grab onto in those moments that were hard for you. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
So you've learned lots, right? Which is in part why you decided to teach in many ways, because being a coach is in many ways sharing that learning with others. What was your journey to becoming a coach?
Oh my God. It's such a like I probably need to give you a big answer again,
That's
because
okay.
I can connect with what I just said earlier. Like, it was I discovered the joy of learning. I don't even need people to tell me. I just knew that I would describe it's a sweet spring coming from inside of learning. Like it was so joyful and so delicious. And quite understandably, learning or studying was very easy for me, as we all can understand when you love something, it's so easy. So which led me to a important point, which was high school. At the end of high school in China, again, I don't think people would be aware of that. In China, we have this, oh my God, this phenomena, which is college entrance examination, like probably, I don't know, like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of students would take those entrance examination in hoping to get into their university or dream university. I basically, to make it really short, I was just like gliding through the whole thing. I was just like giddily studying and just curiously enjoying, like a little dog. I look at my dog. Like I didn't feel any like real life pressure. I didn't think about I need to, get a good score, etc. I just loved learning. And then I got into my dream university, into my dream city. I didn't like get to the top of the list. I didn't really care, as of course, but I did get what I wanted. And then the contrast, this is important because definitely was like a great setup for me to realize or to actually come up with what I teach today, was like, like one step after another. That was a great first step, because contrast was I look at my classmates, everyone was studying so hard. And in the end, I think almost everyone sank. Like no one got into their dream university, even the best students. Of course, they want to go to the top university and then they didn't get to, etc. But most of them just didn't, they sort of failed themselves. And I felt so sad for them. And at the same time, I realized maybe this is the secret to life. Your joy. Your joy is your joy is the secret to life when you enjoy doing something. And whatever you want just comes to you easily. You don't need to like try so hard. That was just like the inkling. But of course, who am I to say all that? I just felt excited about having this kind of, glimpse into perhaps it's a secret to life. I just was excited. And then fast forward to university, of course, as everyone, of course, I would take every opportunity to learn and to evolve, etc. And then fast forward to again end of university, I got into my dream job, basically the same thing. I didn't like try so hard and say like manipulate, etc. I was just like a little duck on the pond kind of a situation. And I
Love that.
was connected to my dream job. It was truly a dream job because I am not someone competitive. I don't think I do well in high pressure like situation. So I was literally led to this beautiful oasis of a job,
What
which
job
is
was it?
it was a corporate training.
Okay.
Like, it was perfect. Of course, later on, I recalled, I think it was just a perfect next step for me to, cultivate this type of teaching. So, I mean, teaching, like, present,
Mhm.
etc. So that gave me great opportunities to, again, to grow because, of course, you have to teach others in the corporate situation. A lot of people are much older and more senior than me, right? So I definitely feel I grew a lot from it. And then probably I would say as we move to later years, I was there for 5 years. I think the fourth year I already felt the itch of I have to leave. I
Okay.
have to do something just to give people an idea. This is something I oftentimes tell my clients as well. You don't, especially in the beginning, before we awaken or like on the verge of awakening, even if we feel like, oh, this pain of life, or I really want to change, we would sit on that for so long. And I did
Mm.
that too. Gosh, I think I sat on it probably 2 years. I don't really remember, but I do remember it was long. Like I would like, I really need change. I want to do this. I kept telling my friends who were French and wonderful and all that. They were all, anyway, set up later on. We'll have some, but anyway, so, yeah, and I felt like, I really felt the need. I actually use this metaphor. It's not a good metaphor, but I think in Chinese we do relate. It's like I felt I was this frog in this lukewarm water being heated up, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
lukewarm, so you don't move until you actually died. But of course, I heard it's not real. Like frogs do. But I don't know how, but it really felt like that story was like so, it really was describing me. But again, let's go to when the big moment of awakening. Basically, I think was year or two. Like I really felt, the pressure was like almost like how do you describe this? Like a tuning, something like it's getting tightened more and
Mm.
more. I think the pressure is really building. And two, the reason was also because I wasn't growing as I was in the beginning of the job. I felt like it was very comfortable, and I would be traveling was comfortable, really comfortable, nice job, and wonderful people, wonderful colleagues. Everyone was amazing. Anyway, all delicious, but at the same time, no longer fulfilling the growth, the joy for growth. So I remember the biggest turning point was, I think everything started to turn, was one night I woke up in fear, like literally in fear. Fear, it was very specific. I think every time I talk about it, I get teary because that fear was the fear of regret when I die or like close to die. I feel like I didn't really use my life well. Like I would
Mm.
just let life just like slip by like that. And I didn't do something important, which is also very important. Like I think a lot of awakening people probably have that inkling. I just felt like I didn't do something really important, like meaningful, not like to make a lot of money and being successful, but like I need to use myself to express myself. So that was quite a incident, I would say. And then a lot of personal challenges, etc. As we all can imagine, I mean, already said, when I was a child, I was put away for 2, 3 years by my parents. So that was a big hold of emotional pain. And the time I didn't realize I had that pain yet. So
Mhm.
imagine, of course, I wouldn't have good relationship, right? That would be a miracle. So I didn't have. So anyway, that was like all building up to the point, and at until finally one day was basically a few days after I think I had that like kind of wake up in panic and fear. And I really just firmly decided I won't go into the details of travel and etc. And I just felt like in this dark night, and I felt I have to make a decision, and it is now. So I was crying, writing text to my dad, almost like inviting in a witness. Now I say this with like, you know what I mean? Like, especially that, I mean, at least that's me, how I do it. Like, I wrote to my dad saying almost like apologetically that I wasn't fully living my life, which
Mm.
actually isn't true to that point. It was still a few years. To be fair, I think to that younger me, but I did feel like I wasn't really going for what I really wanted for that couple of years because I was just coasting by, as I was saying. And then I said, I told my dad, you don't need to worry about me. He actually didn't worry about me.
Okay.
Then I said, I'm going to rise. So that's it. When I came back from that trip and I asked this, I still think it's one of the most important questions to ask. I asked myself, if there's no limitation, what do I really want to do? And the
Mm.
answer was like the bluest sky was this beautiful cloud flying. That's how delicious it felt. I said, I want to go to Europe just to experience, which is very specific. I didn't want to go there to, do whatever. I just wanted to experience. It's so sensual, if you know what I mean. Like so sensual, so joy, like kind of that base. That's very much a theme for me. And then when I had that, everything seemed to click. And then I just
Okay.
dived into the energy and the whole thing. And then when I decided to do that, it was quite smooth. And then I found this scholarship, which is a lot of money. And then I thought, in the beginning, I thought this is impossible. Who am I to get it? It must be a lot of people, which is typical, right? And then basically, I just fine tuned my belief system in that incident without knowing I was fine tuning from not believing until like maybe this is possible until I decide I'm gonna apply for it. So I did a whole month. I think it was a month, or probably more than that. It was like a beautiful. I always call it like a orchestration of angels. Everyone was helping me, and I was just so happy the whole process. And then I sent in the application, and 3 months later, I couldn't believe it. Actually, that I got the scholarship,
Wow. So
and
what were you
that was
studying at that point? What was the scholarship for? Like in theory, what was the
it was a master
a
for
master's?
professionals in training.
Okay.
It's for people in Europe. I think you know that my face is so red. I wanted to say, um, Erasmus Mundus. I
Okay.
think you probably know that too. So it's a master for professionals in training, and even that whole process of applying for it. You write application letter. Why you apply for it? I pour my heart into it because I literally was saying my heart. I wanted to. There's so much I wouldn't get in. I don't think we have enough time to get into it, but before I wrote that application letter, my heart was called to support people. I want them to feel the light of hope and excitement. But I felt myself was the light, the candle in the light. I didn't feel I was powerful enough. So
Hmm.
it's very, very, very visceral feelings in me. But anyway, yes, that was the training, and then I got the scholarship. The timing was actually 2 weeks before I got that email. I found this, I was guided to watch the movie The Secret. Also,
Ah,
I was
okay.
really proud of now. So then, like 2 weeks later, I got the scholarship. My brother and I watched together. My brother said, wow, that's The Secret. So that was it. And then that was basically my awakening, I would say.
Okay.
And then I went to Europe to study, and then it just kept deepening. But I would say my journey was very effective, or no, efficient. Two words in Chinese a little confusing. Efficient, because I really feel I was guided every step of the way to the best teachers, spiritual teachers that are like so to my flavors. So I would just extract the best from them. And at this point, I think I would say really I was guided to create my own teaching. I would extract, and so I could discern and really, I wanted to say I have a nectar. Like I don't abide by anyone's authority, no matter how famous and how powerful they are. I just I just feel like I'm here to create mine. So I think that's also something I exude to my students, I would say. Yeah, and I feel very blessed for.
It
Yes.
absolutely is something that you exude. And I want to throw you a curveball now and have you put on your life coaching hat just for a moment.
Yes.
Because earlier in your story, you talked about how a characteristic that you were born with was this passion for learning, right? And
Yes.
now I know that there will be somebody on, listening to this right now who will say, well, it's easy for her to say. Because, of
Yeah.
course, if I was born with a passion for learning, I also would have done fantastically in high school. I also would have gotten into
Yeah.
my dream university. But actually, she's just happens to be super fortunate that the thing that is her passion is also the thing that works in reality. Okay. Now, I'm not saying this is what I'm saying, but I know there's someone listening who goes like, yeah, that person, of course, can follow their joy because their joy is leading them to beautiful things, right? Now, I also know this not to be true because I know, of course, your joy leads you to beautiful things, but I know that everyone has their own joy within them that does lead them to the correct, beautiful things for their lives, right? So I want to hear what you would say to someone who came back at you and said, easy for you to say you've been
Yeah.
fortunate your whole life.
Oh, I love that question so much. Thank you for asking it because I don't often get the opportunity to talk about that anymore because in the beginning, a lot of my work was about empowering people to pursue what they truly want, which is in the beginning probably just a general like a dream life. But then how do you get there? You actually tap into your inner joy. But anyway, to answer your question, I would say, and I think I'm probably the perfect person to answer that question because I'm born in China. Like I think we would all sort of agree that in China we tend to more buy into the system. Like you have to learn, even if you don't want to learn, you have to learn because education is how you get, you know, how do you say that? Like climb the social ladder or
Mhm.
like just live a better life in put it very simply and humbly. And then so people almost like joy is a luxury for Chinese
Mm,
people.
okay.
I can put it that way. So if we're saying your audience, which is probably more like Western based, which is, this is perfect question for me. I would say that no matter how no joy you think you have, or you don't think you have, like your joy is not so palpable, like mine was such a lighthouse guiding me. You have it. You just have to start with the little ones now, which of course later on I would connect with the work why healing is so important. We all have those tiny little joy, but when we do not think like there's so many layers. First, we need someone powerful enough, like empowered enough to tell them you cannot afford to ignore your little joys. Because if you are so discriminative towards those little joy, then you will never be led to those big joy. I was just enjoying 1 + 1, equals 2. Like of course as a child, but that's an example. So we all have those simple joy is very okay. I wanted to back up. Like joy is very simple. It's not very like it's a tiny little thing. It's a frequency. When you tap into that little frequency, I sometimes use this sparks. I use all kinds of metaphors. One of them is I got my clients or my students, you cannot afford to ignore those little joys. You have to start practicing now little joys to show your faith, to show your inner soul, to tell them like tell your soul, I'm willing to hold your hand. Show me just tiny little spark. That's how I did it. And and then you'll be led to a bigger spark and a bigger spark and a bigger spark until you have this, like, we call it a thriving fire all over the place. That's how I describe it. That's how you do it. But the thing is, people, one, don't believe that's possible. Second, they cannot practice it. Why? We have too many subconscious noise to tell us away from it, or simply just anxiety and fear to say, like, it's impossible. It's too far away in all kinds of things, right? I'm very like familiar with the situation, so I can talk about it like for hours, but I know there's a lot in it, but I just want to give the summary. why people cannot really practice following that little joy, like I think probably a lot of people know Bashar talks about. When I heard Bashar talk about like following your passion to your highest degree, etc., I was like, oh my God, I have been living like this. This is so crazy. But anyway, again, yeah, I think I would say that start with small and then also start healing, because whatever is stopping you from really trusting, having faith, that little spark will lead you to thriving like fire, if that's what you want, we're talking about. Then you have to heal and dissolve those little inner limitations. But by the way, I call healing the same with what Vagrein would say too. Like healing simply just feel all those unfelt emotions. And those unfelt emotions, from big, huge, dark trauma to tiny little limitation, they all have energetic emotion to it. When you feel it, it's just it's unknotted. You say
Hmm.
that? Just it becomes smooth. So many of my clients, I get so excited. So many of my clients tell me like, "Oh my God, I just keep healing and, dissolving and letting go of the feelings. I feel like I am so limitless compared with before. I don't feel like I'm inhibited by something inside, etc." So really, it's that simple. Joy plus healing. That's my key message.
Nice.
Yes.
That might be the title of this episode.
You know that. I love it. It's so much.
Nice, nice. So yeah, would you feel comfortable sharing a bit of your healing journey? Because, the circumstances of your early life and having to be given up from by your parents, or being taken care of by another relative or someone else, and not being in that closeness when a child's expectation is like mom and dad are here forever, right? So whether that's through the death of a parent, or that's an abandonment, or what seems to be an abandonment, or some circumstance that makes it difficult to be together, that's a huge impact on your inner child, and of course on you as a child. And you're talking about being on your healing journey and how you had gotten to your scholarship, right? And you had your awakening, but you haven't mentioned yet when these
Yes.
essences started to show up in your life. You hinted towards it about relationships, but when did you start to become aware of, okay, I have to face the
Yeah.
work, or those knots that are in me
Yeah.
that have to be entangled?
Yes. Perfect question. I think you just want me to keep talking about my story because it was just so like smoothly connected. Because when I went to Europe, before I truly discovered the word healing, I was oblivious to it because I was just so excited about the world of spirituality. So I was just like absorb everything with excuse me, with such a I'm so excited with such like passion and fire. Was my joy of learning, but it didn't occur to me yet. But I would say, looking back, oh my God, I was suffering. Like I was, not just when it comes to relationship, I would just like when the autumn came. I don't know like if a lot of people relate to my experience. I really hope not a lot of people had my experience, because mine was really, I don't even know how to describe that, because they go so deep, because I feel deeply as a being. So those energy, those frequency really just go deep into even my tissue, I would say, like, because they're really there. Anyway, I think in Europe, when I actually was in Norway, I remember would be so, even just the dark, like, I mean, when the sun is said, I would just feel this such a sadness, but it's so deep, so dark. But I would feel the like the upper layer of it. I would just feel so intolerable, but I didn't know what to do, and that's where almost like a pain mechanism, which actually worked in my favor. I discovered a further spiritual teachings like Abraham Hicks and etc. etc. And then it was through my discovery journey I found healing, and that actually give me the permission, I would say. Of course before that I didn't know. I would realize, oh my God, I actually have all these feelings. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, worry about money. That was, a few years late. I mean, after a few, I would say right after I started my life coaching thing, I
Mm.
went back to Europe and came back to Shanghai, like literally hang my hat and say I'm a life coach, even though I didn't do a lot of my emotional work so much yet. I started, but I still had so much. I wanted to emphasize this to say you don't have to be perfect to start doing your life work coach work. In fact, because I also train my life coaches or spiritual coaches, I say this with so much love and respect. I think we all should know, like, being a guide ourselves actually accelerate our own healing, accelerate our evolutions. That's how I experienced mine as well. So in 2014, I would just give timeline so that's easier. Otherwise, it's very confusing. 2014, 2 years, 3 years after that master program, I decided I'm gonna do it full time. Full time not meaning like a lot of money already, but I know I'm gonna do it like really focusedly. Coming back to China, I started doing videos on YouTube and etc. And then would really feel all the emotions coming up. But I already was aware of, for example, Nora Harold. I don't know if a lot of people, your audience, know her. Also a channel channeling the Pleiadians and Wendy Kennedy, and also I know Daniel Scranton.
Yeah, yeah, he
There's
mentions those two all the time, yeah.
this. So yeah, I would just use their teaching to help me heal. But I heal in a very dedicated way. I don't just do it because problem arises. I think I do it whenever I feel not so good.
Right.
But let's see, it's very, very connects to someone. You said someone would ask about the joy thing. I wanted to say this again with so much love and respect. We humanity learn to tolerate not bad, not good feeling state. And I am, because I know the delicious joy,
Yeah.
I couldn't stand not feeling good, right? So that you can understand. So then, even if there are joy of creating videos, there are joy of learning all this incredible ET stuff, even though I'm not crazy about it, but like channeling information like Vagrants today still. But I couldn't stand if I feel like this
Mm.
cloudy mood. So I would just use everything I can so to find ways to help myself to heal.
So
So
what you're
that's
saying is your tolerance for lower vibrational frequencies in yourself got lower. So you're like, if you feel something slightly off, you're really willing to go into your modalities of healing, and you're really willing to go like, okay, what's going on? I'm not going to stand for
perfect.
this for 6 months. Because earlier you mentioned how like you did stay in that job for 2 years, and I do think that this is a natural progression for people on their spiritual journey. And I think even Esther Hicks talks about it. Like what is the
Yeah,
statement that she uses? Like she's become like a frequency snob or something like
yeah,
that. Like where,
yeah,
she won't she can't handle the lower frequencies. So she's like, "Okay, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with this." And I
yeah,
think that is a practice that is wonderful to get into. And I think that a lot of people listening can probably relate to that. But we
yeah,
do get lazy sometimes. We do kind of allow, and as humans, we have this tendency of preferring to wallow in our victimization of self or our story, and
yes,
try to get the sympathy and try to get the that sort of like, well, my feel that validation of our feelings, right? Because I think a lot of us didn't get that as a kid, right? So sometimes we stay in a lower vibration because we want someone to notice that we're not doing so great.
mhm,
So my next question would be, right, if you were to sort of give like a 5 minute
yes,
walkthrough for someone of like what
yes,
you would do when a lower frequency vibration comes up and you're like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. What is your
yes.
go-to technique in this now moment?
I love it so much. I think over the years I've evolved my, I've actually, I would say, like, I would pick up and then realize, okay, this one I have used up, and then I will move on,
Hmm.
like use different ones. So it depends on which one the person asking the question is resonating with at the moment, meaning that stage of evolution.
Hmm.
I would say this is literally how I tell my clients. I think this is why I would say having a guiding hand, whether you call it a coach or a healer, beside you who is supporting you, but in a very tough, loving way. I don't tolerate my clients' victim mentality. When they come to me, I often joke about this. I would just like, I'm gonna lovingly slap your little butt. That's how we do it in China. Like, I'm gonna just do this. So, do not come to me being a little victim because that doesn't support you. If I love you, I truly love you, I would just tell you this instead of saying, okay, I understand. It's okay. Let's just, I don't do that. I would just really give you the hard truths and then I will guide you. Okay, that's okay. You missed that part. You missed that one, but let's do it right this time.
Hmm.
But I would say, how I would tell my clients I do it is whenever I notice anything within me that's a little dark cloud, I would stop anything, literally stop anything if I could. I would say if you're in a board meeting, you are about to speak as a speaker, no, you can't do that. But otherwise,
Yeah.
there are, I would say, a billion opportunities to just stop the thing. Really practice being aware. It doesn't matter if you can't do it now, but take my technique and start doing this.
Hmm.
And that's how you practice also awareness. But then first step, you stop everything. And then you come back to your body, whether you use breath or not, because we all breathe, but it come back to my body, to come back to our body. I would say I love using that because your feeling is actually sensed or right in your body. So we have to come back to our body. The second step is to come to your body and then just stay there to gently allow our feelings to not no longer be afraid of us because you just
Mm-hmm.
ignore it and try to push it away to like okay resist it. I would just say like if you can just notice and then like open your body a little bit, that feeling would like a timid child would come
Mm.
up from the corner, from a really like hidden corner, seriously. And then it's very easy after that. Whether it's a big emotion, you can feel like, oh my God, it seems to be big. But if you give the third step is really just be there with the feeling. This is actually, I think this is the most sublime and the easiest because we are all feeling beings. If you can be
Mm.
there with the feeling, you don't need to use any technique. I still use this today. You just stay there and be with the feeling. No resisting, just be there. And that feeling will just disperse magically, but it's as it's supposed to be. It's
Mm-hmm.
resistance that makes the feeling like stored there or, kept recorded in our tissue, whatever energetic field. But it's like that being there for you, like it's already accepting, loving, right? All those things, but you don't need to say that. You just be.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like to describe it, and then you just be there with the feeling, and the feeling would just disperse. I think for anyone trying it the first time, if you just experience the first for one time, I think you will never forget it because you realize how liberating it is. Because I take a lot of people through the first time. The second is that you think it's, oh my God, it's so easy.
Mm.
I don't understand why I postpone it, like, or ignore it and resist it, and then just having this big cloud with me for days and sometimes turn into like a month and years. And of course, that's how it is, right?
Right.
So I would say, and then basically after the third step, you feel the sky is clear. You're like, oh my God, the cloud is gone.
So
Really?
I have a curiosity. Do you think we can do an experiment right now? Because I
Yeah.
think that, that question, like, why did I wait so long to do this? That whole question is very common. You have lots of clients that you've taken them through that first step and now they're liberated. What I think is probably behind that is the first biggest feeling that they have, and this is a conditioned feeling, it is something that we've all learned, is the fear of feeling the feelings, right?
Yes.
That's the first feeling that's at the surface of all of the other stuff, right? Would you be able to pretend that I'm your client
Yes.
and that I have a fear of feeling that feelings and walk
Yes.
me through that process? Because that way, anyone who's watching can play along and they
Yes.
can be here and they can be in this moment, even if it involves like a meditation-y type of thing or what, or breathe,
Yes.
just the waiting. Then someone can come and listen to this as many times as they need to be able to process that fear.
Love it so much. You ask genius
Why,
questions.
thank you.
Like, I have to give you that compliment. I wanted to say, yes, I understand you're giving actually the like the diagnosis of
Mhm.
why people don't feel their feelings is they afraid of feel their feelings. But usually I would say
Okay.
people come to us, if I can just share this,
Absolutely.
people come to me or come to us not knowing they're afraid of feeling their feelings. They're just like
Ah,
talking about all this, like, have this thing, I don't know, and their problem.
right.
Why, healing sessions is so the way it is. People come with, I have this situation. They don't understand it's all
Right.
feeling based. If the feeling is cleared, the situation looks like a flower in under the blue sky,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Not scary anymore. It's
Right,
the
right.
dark cloud look. So I don't know how do we experiment, but then maybe you can just come to me and talk about like, I have this situation thing, like whatever you come up with, like, oh, my dog, something happened to my dog, something like that.
Let's find a situation. I think people who have seen my most recent episode, I'm not sure if this is going to be right after that one. I did talk about this situation in my garden. Okay, so since
Oh,
that hasn't been resolved, I will talk about it even longer. So last year, the government comes and says your garden has mercury in the ground, and because it's pollution and it can't be there, we're gonna all expenses paid, deal with your garden. And so they came and they did a project and they dug up all the ground that's no good, and they put new ground, and that took 2 weeks.
mhm,
And because I don't know, I'm not even gonna say. Anyway, bureaucratically, a guy
mhm,
has to come and stick like a straw in the ground to test if it worked. And
mhm.
that is now 7 months ago.
Okay.
So the work was done 7 months ago, finished. The garden's there, it's beautiful, but we're not allowed in it
Oh, I
because of a
see.
bureaucratic thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So this has been driving me crazy. Now I'm
yeah.
exaggerating just for the case of this
Yeah.
example here, but it's an upsetting thing, right? It's an upsetting thing. It's annoying. I can tell you, I don't think my annoyance is directly related to the garden. It's related to, from a
Mm.
personal level, I think it's related to like the world doesn't work the way I think it should.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I love you. I
Yeah,
love you.
so, that's what I would come, if I was going to someone and be like, "Help me fix this problem," that would be the
Yeah.
one. Right.
You're perfect. Thank you for like I have a million words to say. Thank you for sharing your own, like even, already exposed yourself for all that. It's beautiful. If you would do it, this is how I do with I can imagine we're doing this probably airing. This is so crazy. I love it. Okay. If you're my client, I would loving ask you, my darling, just close your eyes. I know we're doing this thing, you're interviewing, so do your very best, not in a trying way, just allow yourself to settle into your body. Yes, beautiful. Take as many breaths as you need to really feel you are settled and relaxed because we were in this high energy, now coming to really relaxed, and you're being in this receiving end. Probably take one more breath, which is conscious and allowing your body to open even more and relax even more. Now I want you to think of the garden situation. And please tell me where in your body you feel anything. Doesn't matter what sensation or feeling or emotion, whatever it is.
So both in the jaw and beneath the solar plexus.
Beautiful. Can you gently just being aware of these two parts of your body? If it is hard for you to be aware of both of them, you can just choose one, whichever one is more prominent at the moment. Put your attention there very gently Can you tell me where you are putting your attention?
Below the solar plexus.
Wonderful. Just put your attention there very gently. You don't need to try anything, just put your attention there, being aware of it. Do you notice anything? Any change or any sensation?
No, except that it's like a fist or a lump. It has defined edges.
Yes, wonderful. We'll be with this part of your body for a little time until I tell you or until we decide to. So
Mhm.
let's just be with this part of your body. And as you are being aware of this part of your body, allow this part of your body to just in their natural rhythm, just slowly open up, slowly, however it needs. I can feel you, so it's okay. Take your time, no rush, just be with that part of your body and allow it to almost like unfold, to open gradually. Do you feel you can do it or you are experiencing it?
Yeah, the sort of sensation or image I get is almost like a lotus flower,
Yeah,
and the also information going with that is that it's much deeper than the garden. The garden is just like a stimulus to feel this.
wonderful. We will just keep allowing this part of your body to unfold. By unfold, I mean there, as you were saying as well, there are deeper layers want to come to unfold, to
Mhm.
open that part of your energetic field. Yes, just keep being with it very gently, just being aware of it and allow it to unfold in its own pace. You can always be aware, but no pressure of any taste of emotion, I would say. You can tell me, you don't need to tell me.
Yeah, it's disappointment.
Yes, wonderful. Keep allowing it to unfold. As you know, whatever you feel is healed. If you just feel a little bit, that energy is already dissipating. If you feel all of it, it's all dissipating. So, no pressure, just know it's the process of feeling to heal it.
Hmm.
Yes? What are you feeling now, darling?
Well, actually, actually, I'm feeling a lot of joy, which is interesting. It's not so that energy is still there, and what I'm feeling is a lot of joy because I can see the potential of letting go of this energy
Mm,
and how much freedom there is in that.
yes.
Because the same signature of this disappointment for the garden is disappointment in broader humanity, which is interesting. And if I follow that logical train of thought, what I see is that
Yes.
it's only me who appointed these expectations on, the people who come to do the garden or the people or humanity in general or um, yeah, my root family or whatever disappointment I can face anywhere in my life, it's only because I've appointed those responsibilities to these things and I've
Yes,
given my power to those things.
yes,
And so, as I see the potential for letting go of appointing anyone else with
yes.
my state of being, it's really extremely liberating and exciting.
Powerful realization.
Yeah.
If you are a client, I would say that's powerful and beautiful, amazing, so wonderful, but we're not done yet.
No, I can
See?
see they're still there.
Yes. And then I will just guide them back into the body again. If I have a session with them, I will guide them until that feeling is completely done.
Mm,
From my understanding, each time there's definitely a divine time for you. If that feeling is coming up in this session, you are able to do to
mm,
the maximum, which is you feel like, oh my God, I'm so relaxed. Oh my God, this is completely gone. But
mm.
doesn't mean later on something else would not trigger, or
Sure.
even the same situation would allow you to feel a little bit more again. But you
Mm,
already, as I said, whatever you feel, you already healed that like a cloud, that unfelt emotional cloud. Whatever you feel, you already healed that part, but doesn't mean it's that thing is completely gone. You have more clouds.
sure,
So
sure.
that's why I say it's a dedicated path, right?
Mm,
So the first time, usually, if a client is only having one session, I would give like all my heart in a little, and then I would tell them you have to like know what I guide you and listen to it back, and then you can do it on your own. If you're really dedicated, your situation is not like a huge trauma, then you can really reach greater freedom quite quickly. It's
right,
just you
right.
have to want it. As you were demonstrating so beautifully, if you just taste that, you can feel. Of course, you're professional yourself, so your like thinking is very powerful. You would just connect dots, and even for a person who is new to all of this, they would feel this lightness, right? And then they would just like, oh my God, I could feel so much lighter already.
Yes.
And then if I take them to the end, this one session,
Hmm.
be like, oh my God, of course, I always hear that. I am going to do this. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you get
so,
motivated.
yes. So
Right.
that's what we're saying. Really, it's, one thing, one key word I would say is that I love humanity so much. I always say that. I think my work, when I say like I do my work, is really I think to know that so many people suffer from all these dark clouds within, not knowing how to do it, or like just don't are not guided to really just like we did so easily, just to allow ourselves back to joy. How I describe it is that joy is our inner sun, like it's just supposed to beam out, but the dark clouds are all over the place. If we can just clear a little bit, we can feel like, oh my God, the sun is out, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
natural, is our natural state.
Beautiful.
This is also why I created I told you I created all in Chinese though. So now my work in English is only one-on-one sessions, or like a monthly or a few months, like a longer program. But I do have quite a lot of group programs. Like I taught in person, live, but then recorded. The first one was I was literally guided. That course was returning to the happiest self.
Hmm.
Our self is naturally happy. We all
Beautiful.
know that.
Mm.
So I think we just demonstrated, and I think everyone should know that it's so easy if we just allow ourselves to really sit and feel it. Um, yeah,
I love
as
that we
you,
did that.
yeah.
I have a question for you. What does the word mystic mean to you?
Oh, you know, I know you ask guests.
Yes.
Um, being a non-native speaker, I think my understanding of each word definitely evolved, probably for native speakers too. But I
Yeah.
think me in the past, when I first heard of the word, I would feel like they're like a medicine woman, medicine man, kind of like a mystic. But recently, I actually feel like it makes me think of Rumi. those kind of a Hafiz and Rumi, those beautiful, like even I would call Lao Tzu, our Lao Tzu, like from China, Tao Te Ching. I think mystic is someone who is so deeply connected to the universal truth, live it in such a poetic way, not necessarily writing poems, but just in the breath. Of course, however they express it. Like, the Sufis, they dance, you can create medicine, you live in the forest with the rabbits, you communicate with rabbits, whatever you do to me. And I mean, even what we do, we're mystic too, right? So I think I feel like I am so blessed. I feel like I could open more and more the channel to a great and higher intelligence, whether through my own work when I would say when I do healing sessions, I always don't do it as a human being. I know you know that.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, also I'm guided to find teachings like Vagreins and etc. So it's like a beautiful blend of cooking, all the beautiful thing. And then I could dance in the world to share that beautiful inner synergy, right? And that's how I feel. And I think that is mystic, however form it takes.
That's wonderful. I love that. I really love that. So, what else would you like to share with this audience now? I think we're going to have to meet again at some point because I know there's so much more of your journey that is of value to others, and there's so much more that you could share. But right now, what feels most relevant to you?
I have to say, I think, as I was saying, like, I just love humanity. Really, I want people to know they don't need to suffer. And I think you did a great job asking such incredible questions. Seriously, I think, especially the session we did with you on you, I really hope people can take away from that, even just use that as, as I was guiding them to really know emotional freedom is so reachable, so doable, so simple. So I guess I wanted to say, okay, I'm guided to say, I think my key words, especially at this stage of my evolution, is ease and grace. And you know
Mm,
that.
beautiful.
I think I want to really share that energy with everyone, our beloved humanity, whoever watched this. I think ease and grace is not something you reach at the end of enlightenment or at the beginning of enlightenment. I think we can start taste this right now, even just by feeling how easy it can be to just liberate ourselves from the emotional cloud. And instantly you have the sun out. There, from for example, the Octorians channeled by Daniel, they would say that is an enlightened moment because enlighten. Of course, we can say permanent enlightenment, but enlightenment can be just this moment of like complete alignment, realizing it and do it and then feel it. So I think I would say that we can all start claiming that ease and grace life, that master life. We don't have to reach enlightenment to be a master. I think master is a journey. So yeah, I don't know why I started talking about that.
I
I
love
love
that.
it.
I love it. I think it's a beautiful message for
I
everyone.
invite everyone to step into the ease and grace mastery life just by doing even that simple thing. So beautifully invited by Jesse. I mean, the process we did for you. Yeah.
Beautiful. What projects do you have going on and where can people find your work? And don't, perhaps this does reach a whole bunch of people who are Chinese speakers as well, so don't leave anything out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Um, Actually, I have created so many courses. I wanted to say this. I'm trying like, should I shorten my answers? But I need to give you what I really need to say. So
Yes.
I've created so many courses. They are actually stage by stage, my dog. Stage by stage. So from the beginning, which is like the entry level of healing, coming back to your happiest self. And then later on, I did like like in-depth healing, such as money mastery, meaning effortless wealth, I call it, or in Chinese, but I'm translating to later stage, which is like you are already everything, which is the enlightenment state. I channel that course. So from the beginning, I was like very creating the course to later, the last course, that was like, I really knew I was channeling. I knew I wasn't even in control. It was incredible. So I have so many courses. That's something, it's always there for my Chinese audience. And I have a group of incredible souls who are so dedicated to their own evolution. So I am blessed that I'm actually the quote unquote permission slip. My other hand is on the dog. Permission for them to experience their evolution. But we really all know the validity of the information I'm so blessed to channel and give through these courses. Also, I do one-on-one sessions. Now I'm actually itching to do new projects that I actually have no idea what it is yet. And I am so happy, so excited to live in the unknown, which is like maybe the next minute the inspiration will come. But like really on top of my mind right now, I'm definitely, but it's already fully booked, which is a Reiki attunement teaching course. Like how do I just say that? It's not just attunement, but a Reiki class for it's already fully signed up. So but that's the one I have now. But I'm always open for one-on-one. I love doing one-on-one because I'm such a personal person. I don't know if you know that. Someone told me
People
that.
person.
Yes, I love taking like care of people. Like I love them in that session. So I love that. And so I always do that. And then like sometimes coming up with like the inspiration would come, I would create a larger course, etc. So yeah.
Beautiful. And where can people find you?
My website, which is in both Chinese and English, but most of the Chinese courses are actually somewhere else. If you are Chinese on the website, you will be directed to the Chinese thing, which is called WeChat. It's called effortless-thriving.com.
Okay.
Effortless thriving with a hyphen in between .com.
Okay, wonderful. That's great. That's great. So I will send people there and I'll put it in the description of this video and of this podcast episode. So do go and check it out. There's going to be the link where you can go straight to it. And I'm going to have to get you back because we're going to have to talk about all the other stuff. I want to hear about the Reiki. I want to hear more about the differences in culture that you've observed, having lived in Europe and having lived in China, and all kinds of exciting things that we can definitely talk about in a future episode. But for now, I just want to say thank you and your dog so much for being here today with us and for walking us through that exercise and for talking about overall, I think the thing that I've taken away from having this interaction with you is you've talked very often about the ease, like you were saying, and how easy it is. And when you say it, and when you said it several times in this session, I believe you, right? Now, I believe you that things don't need to be as hard as people make it out to be, and that this healing thing is not some big burden that you're going to have to go through for the rest of your life. At some point, there is a level of going like, hey, I've got this. And from what I hear you say, that can be as fast as the first time you try it out. So that's what I've really taken away on a personal level from this, and what I really think the audience is going to be able to sense off of your energy and your frequency. So thanks so much for being here.
Oh, I love you. I'm so happy we did this. And this is so, I mean, so much I want to say, but I'm just so happy that like I just have to say you popped up great questions and how we create this together. This is wonderful. I'm so happy for the audience to see and hopefully benefit from them.
I'm absolutely sure they will. So thanks so much for coming on.
I love you, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Some Kind of Mystic podcast. If you're hearing this message, you've listened all the way to the end of this episode, and for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's people just like you that keep me motivated to bring you more and more enlightened content to the world. If you have any questions about the things we covered in the show or would like to follow my projects, please find me on www.jpherman.com. I answer all my messages, so don't hesitate to reach out. You can also find me on Instagram, and the details are in the show notes.
For so long, I didn't know how to have fun. because it was not in my consciousness. Sometimes when something really funny just happens, I would take a note. I actually have a note of all those funny things. So when I read them, I'm like, oh, it's so funny. This is so, oh my God. I love my friend when I was in Norway, a guy she was dating. It was just, oh my God, it was so funny, but also like in a whoa little panda way. So this guy, they were having like takeaway sushis, probably watching movie or something. And he was so nervous. He just started drinking the soy sauce. Oh my God, imagine. I was hearing that. I don't know if I should laugh or, oh my God. You know, it's so crazy. But I was just like, oh, I would just laugh and then I feel like, oh my God, you know, imagine that situation.